campuses with overwhelmingly large and active Jewish populations. These attacks are manifest beyond the college campus, and they are not limited to Israel. In San Francisco, human rights activists attempted to ban circumcision, the mitzvah of Brit Milah, the sacred covenant between God and the Jewish people. Now, what does it mean not to be a fool? On campus and in the larger world, we will face attacks on our religion, our homeland, and our upbringing in its entirety. When we consider these vicious diatribes and thinly veiled campaigns, whether they come from educators or friends, we cannot fear scrutinizing them with the critical thinking skills we have learned here in this high school and in our homes. Therefore, we must take action and speak up. We must be strong, confident, informed Jews. We cannot be silent because these events they will in the long run affect our place in the world. At the same time, however, we must not forget the first half of Jabotinsky's statement. Be a gentleman. Respect the beliefs of others. We have to listen to what our Muslim classmate has to say. We have to pay attention to the Mormon student in our dorm as he explains why he can't drink Red Bull or beer, staples of college life. In a world as diverse as the one in which we live, we must stand as an example of a gentleman, or as people from my descent say, a mensch. The Torah and Sefer Dvarim, when speaking of the statutes and ordinances that God has delineated for the Jewish people, clearly instructs that we must be an example for other nations. Ushmartem v'asitem ki hu chachmatchem u'beintechem le'enei ha'amim asher yishma'un et kol ha'chukim ha'ele ve'imru rak Am chacham v'navon hagoy hagadol hazeh. Observe therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the peoples, that when they hear all these statutes shall say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. Perhaps even more important than his warning, Jabotinsky's most positive adage teaches us that we must be proud of who we are, Jews. Jews who hold our heads high, with a clear sense of who we are and what we stand for. The inheritors of an ancient, precious civilization, yet at the same time, active members of the world community. A light unto the nations. On Pesach, our holiday of redemption, we read the famous passage, V'hi she'amda l'avotenu v'lanu, shelo echad bilvad amad aleinu l'chalotenu. Ela shebachol dor ador omdim aleinu l'chalotenu v'achadosh baruch hu matzilenu mi'adam. There's a very nice tune that we all know to that. And this is what kept our fathers and what keeps us surviving. For not only one arose and tried to destroy us, rather in every generation they try to destroy us, and God saves us from their hands. Ultimately, the survival of the Jewish people rests in the hands of God. Nevertheless, we must do our part in securing the existence of a Jewish future. Be a doctor, be a lawyer, be a rabbi, join the Peace Corps, be the best lady or gentleman that you can be and make that your primary goal in life. We just have to remember that this is no excuse for being a fool. I am certain that each one of us graduates has received the knowledge, courage, and most of all neshama to exemplify the words of Zev Jabotinsky and the Torah itself. The relationships we have built at NSHAHS Hebrew Academy with administrators, rabbis, teachers, and fellow students have fostered the development of these qualities in each of us. Our family in school has worked in coordination with our families at home to help shape our identity, the Jewish identity. Thank you, Dr. Vitow, Reverend Weinberg, teachers, mom and dad, everyone whose eyes remained open throughout the entirety of my speech, I can't see you from here, and this wonderful grade that I was so fortunate to be a part of for 4, actually 10 years. Mazal tov to my dear friends, NSHAHS Hebrew Academy's class of 2012.
My dear students, ladies and gentlemen, as part of my job as an educator, there are certain questions that I have to constantly reflect upon. Obviously, one of these questions is, what is the most effective way for our school to impart knowledge to our students? Or, to put it much more simply, how should we teach? This specific question, ladies and gentlemen, is one that is in a constant state of evolution. The proliferation of technology and the subsequent ability to connect with thousands of people throughout the world in a very instant has forever changed the way in which young people are taught. For an example, 8 years ago, a hedge fund analyst who was pursuing his MBA at Harvard was confronted with a difficulty. How would he be able to continue to tutor his niece or cousin in math, even though now she lived hundreds of miles away? From this problem, Salman Khan created the Khan Academy, an online school of 3,100 lessons that has revolutionized education. The Khan Academy uses a methodology known as the flipped classroom, where the students teach themselves and the teachers review the lesson and its applications during class. The Khan Academy allows students to teach themselves whole courses, and it allows schools to double and even triple what they offer. It is because of these innovations and the questions of how to educate that they raise that demand of me to continuously revisit what we do. In fact, if I did not revisit it, I would be remiss in my responsibility. However, at the same time that I contend with educating in a rapidly changing world, I find myself asking an older, perennial question. Not the how of teaching, but rather the why. Why do I teach? Why do we teachers teach? What do we hope to accomplish? And what is the end result of a solid, thorough education? Allow me to share briefly with you a few personal reflections on these questions that I believe are apropos to the graduating class of 2012. As many of you know, and many of your parents may know as well, before I became a principal, I was a classroom teacher. And unlike many of the methods that are employed today, my teaching style, you, my dear students, would call old school. So old, in fact, that they have their roots in ancient Athens. I always preferred to teach in a give-and-take, critical thinking style that we call the Socratic method. And no, there was no Twitter in 399 BC. In my classroom, having fun was not the main objective. Rather, the main objective was a methodical, systematic, and thorough presentation of material and a search for the truth. So for me, Socrates himself seemed to be particularly appropriate in seeking an answer to these critical questions. And Socrates is a very interesting choice of who to turn to for answers. It was Socrates himself who famously said, "I cannot teach anybody anything. I can only make them think. A statement that at first glance negates the importance or even the possibility of teaching anything to anybody. But upon further reflection, my dear students, the great Greek philosopher is actually getting at the very heart of the teaching experience. As you know, real teachers, great teachers, are not mere repositories of knowledge. They are not breathing, walking textbooks. Rather, they are the stimulus for deep, profound, serious, lifelong thought. They are the catalysts for discussion and intellectual stimulation. This notion is best expressed by Socrates in the profound work, The Apology. As Socrates is in the midst of his trial for corrupting the youth of Athens, he defends his teaching with the following words: "The greatest good of man is daily to converse about virtue, and the life which is unexamined is not worth living." Socrates sees teaching and the life that it hopes to create as being about self-examination, cultivation of virtue, and the being in the fellowship of like-minded people with similar hopes and similar aspirations. This is, in my opinion, as accurate and profound of a statement of both why we teach, what we hope to accomplish by our teaching, and what type of students we hope to create, as has ever been uttered. And with his emphasis on student-teacher interactions and the probing questions that can only be asked in face-to-face context, Socrates places the emphasis on what is most crucial in the educational experience. For Socrates, the flipped classroom did not have a place. Our Jewish tradition, my dear students, also weighs in on this seminal question. In the 4th chapter of Pirkei Avot, we learn, "Halomed yeleh lemahu domeh, lidyo va amuyar chadash. V'halomed zaken lemahu domeh, lidyo va amuyar machuk." Learning Torah as a child is like writing on fresh paper, but learning Torah in old age is like writing on paper that has been erased. The commentary explains that when one writes on new paper, on Niyar Chadash, the ink adheres strongly and the writing itself does not fade. A book such as this will last a long time, and anyone who wants to learn from it will have the ability to pick it up and read it. This is similar to a young person who learns Torah in their youth. The words, the values, the lessons of our tradition will attach themselves to the student in a bond that cannot easily be erased. Anyone who wishes to learn Torah, what it means to be a thoughtful, sensitive, believing Jew, will be able to walk up and read the book that in this case is the student's soul. And this connection of student to Torah is one that lasts at least for a lifetime. And so when I ask myself, why do I teach? These are some of the answers that I provide. But on a much more visceral level, looking at your faces, my dear students, the class of 2012, provides me with an even deeper answer. Your class is a remarkable group. You are thoughtful, sensitive, and caring. You ask real questions, serious questions, and you do not and you never have settled for shallow, superficial answers. You understand the value of each individual, each yachid, and the community, the klal, that those individuals create. And in short time, you have created lives of meaning, lives of exploration, and of respect and fidelity to our tradition. In other words, my dear students, the North Shore class of 2012 embodied the absolute best of both the Western and the Jewish traditions. This, for me, is a very bittersweet moment. Not only for me, but for the faculty and everybody else associated with the school. We will miss you dearly. Having taught you and having seen you grow over these past 4 years, it will be hard to imagine our Yeshiva High School without you. But as and here I speak on behalf of the entire North Shore Hebrew Academy High School family, look towards your future this evening, I am filled with pride and with excitement. You will accomplish amazing things. You will accomplish world-altering feats. You will establish communities and families, and you will serve as a model of what it means to be a serious, committed Jew. You are going to be a daily reminder to us of what a real, old-fashioned, old school, and new school education can accomplish, and why teaching is so important and so rewarding. I will always treasure our past together, and I do, in fact, look forward to hearing about all of your progress in the years ahead. Mazel tov. It is an honor now for me to call upon the deans of the class of 2012 to assist me in distributing the diplomas. Rabbi Cheskel Lera and Mrs. Lisa Septimus, please come forward. I would like to invite the Presidium of the PTA to join us. Mrs. Sandy Gold, Mrs. Serena Elias, Ms. Debbie Orbach, please come forward.